Hi guys, it's Alicia. Today I am going to be making up a apple bundt cake that tastes very much like an apple fritter. So it's kind of a bundt cake version of an apple fritter. Now I have a recipe for this already up on my channel, but it is not Weight Watcher friendly. I really love that cake because I really love apple fritters. So I decided to take that recipe of mine that I already love and try to make it a little more Weight Watcher friendly so that I don't feel so bad eating it. I thought I would show you how I'm gonna do this. Let me first go over all the ingredients. There are a decent amount of ingredients, and this cake has 3 different parts. It's got the main cake, the apple filling, and the brown sugar mixture. So there's 3 different parts to this, so I'll try to make it not super confusing when I'm going through the ingredients. So I'll just sort of tell you the ingredients you're gonna need per part of this cake. For the apple filling part, I'm using Granny Smith. I like the really tart apple paired with the sweetness of the cake. But you could use whatever type of apple you want. You're gonna be looking for about 2 cups of chopped up apple though. I've got 5 apples here, they're small. That may or may not be enough. I've got more though if I need, and I'll let you know how many of these I use. But you want, of course, to wash your apples. Mine are washed and are ready to go. For the sweetener and the apple filling, I'm gonna be using a 1/4 cup of this Lakanto Classic. Then I'm gonna be putting in a 3/4 teaspoon apple pie spice. This is my homemade apple pie spice. I did a video on this recently. I'll link that up above and down below. If you don't want to use apple pie spice, don't have it, don't want to make it, whatever, I will also list the spices you can use instead of the 3/4 of this. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons cornstarch and then a couple tablespoons of water, which I don't have out here. So that's everything for the apple filling part. For the brown sugar mixture, I'm going to be using a 1/4 cup of this Tbsp Sweet Complete. I like this stuff because the texture is just like regular brown sugar. So I'm gonna be using a 1/4 cup of that, but I'm also gonna be using a 1/4 cup regular brown sugar. And that is just because I wanna kind of offset or prevent the cooling effect that you can get from using sweeteners that have the erythritol, can't hardly say that word, but erythritol in it. So I figure if I do a mixture of the Tbsp and regular sugar, hopefully I can prevent that. So then I'm also gonna be using a 1/2 teaspoon, again, of the apple pie spice in that brown sugar mixture. So for the cake itself, you're gonna be needing 2 1/4 cup all-purpose flour, a 1/2 cup of the Lakanto Classic, a cup of non-fat plain Greek yogurt. You could also use fat-free sour cream if you want, 2 eggs, a 1/2 cup no sugar added or unsweetened applesauce. This is 3.9 ounces, which is close enough because a 1/2 cup is 4 ounces. So I'm gonna just be putting one of these applesauce cups in it. I'm also gonna be using a 1/3 cup Brummel and Brown. I always say this is just my favorite light butter spread, but you could use whatever butter spread you want. I'm gonna be using a teaspoon vanilla, a teaspoon baking powder, teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and again, the apple pie spice, and I'm gonna be using a teaspoon of this. So that is everything for the cake mixture and everything total, I believe, for the actual cake. I'm also gonna be doing a glaze for this because, of course, apple fritters have glaze, so definitely wanna do a glaze. For the glaze, I am gonna be using regular powdered sugar instead of a sugar substitute or a powdered sugar substitute. And that again is because I want to avoid that cooling effect. And I've noticed that with the powdered sugar substitutes, you really get kind of a strong cooling effect if you are just mixing it with water, which is what I'm gonna be doing for my glaze. I'm gonna just be using 100 grams of powdered sugar with about 2 tablespoons of water, or however much it takes to get the consistency that I want. So I'm not gonna be using a sugar substitute for that, just because again, don't want that cooling effect. And then lastly, I've got some Baker's Joy out here that I'm gonna be spraying my bundt pan with. I think I've got everything, so let me get this started. First step is to get my apples peeled, cored, and chopped. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Got my apples chopped up. I ended up doing just over 3 cups. I used 4 of those apples. I think I said I was gonna do 2 cups. I meant 3. And this is, like I said, just over. In a medium-sized pan, I'm gonna add in my apples, 2 tablespoons water, 1/4 cup of that Lakanto Classic, 2 teaspoons cornstarch, and 3/4 teaspoon apple pie spice. And on medium heat, I'm gonna just kind of stir this all together and let this cook in here for a few minutes until those apples start to soften. For the brown sugar mixture, I'm gonna add in 1/4 cup packed light brown sugar and a 1/4 cup packed Truvia, and then a 1/2 teaspoon apple pie spice. I'm gonna just get this all mixed together really well, like that, and then set that aside. In a medium bowl, you're gonna add in your dry ingredients for your cake, which is 2 1/4 cups all-purpose flour, teaspoon baking soda, teaspoon baking powder, teaspoon apple pie spice, and 1/2 teaspoon salt. And then you're gonna just mix that until those are all combined. And then set this aside. In my stand mixer, I'm gonna add in my 1/3 cup butter spread and 1/2 cup Lakanto Classic. And then I'm gonna just mix the 2 of those together really well. Now I'm gonna add in my 2 eggs, cup Greek yogurt, unsweetened applesauce, teaspoon vanilla, and then I'm gonna mix all that together really well. My apples are looking good, so now what I'm gonna do is take them off the heat and set them aside until I'm ready for them. Now that that's all mixed together, I'm gonna add in my flour mixture, and I'm gonna mix that together just until it's combined. And that looks good. So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my bundt pan and put this together. I've got my bundt pan here, and my bundt pan has definitely seen some wear and tear, so I really like to spray it really well with a non-stick spray. This stuff, Baker's Joy, works pretty well. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this very liberally with that. So now that I've got that well sprayed, I'm gonna take about 1/2 of my brown sugar and apple pie spice mixture, and I'm gonna just kind of sprinkle this on the bottom of the pan. Next up, I'm gonna take 1/2 of my cake batter, and I'm going to just kind of drop that on the bottom of the pan over that brown sugar. And then I'm gonna just kind of spread this in here the best that I can. I've also got my oven preheating to 350 right now. Next up, I'm gonna take my apples and I'm gonna just kind of pour them or lay them in here as evenly as I can on top of that cake batter. Now that I've got all those apples in there, I'm gonna take my remaining brown sugar mixture and I'm gonna just kind of sprinkle that over the tops of my apples. And then finally, I'm going to cover that with my remaining cake batter. And again, just try and spread this out as evenly as you can while covering the apples. All right, I've got that done. So now what I'm gonna do is bake this in my preheated oven for probably about 40 minutes. It may be a little less or a little more, but I will check on it around 35 minutes, see how it's doing, and I will be back once it is done. I let this bake for 40 minutes. It's looking done, so I went ahead and pulled it out, and now I'm gonna let it cool for about 10 minutes before I try to take it out of the bundt pan. I let this sit in the bundt pan for about 10 minutes. Went ahead and took it out on my cake stand here. And that's how she's looking. Came out pretty good. So now I'm gonna let this completely cool before I glaze it. For my glaze, I'm gonna go ahead and weigh out 100 grams of confectioner sugar. or powdered sugar. Okay, I've got 100 grams there. So now to that, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons water. And then I'm gonna just whisk that together really well. And that looks good. If you want yours thicker than that, just use a little less water. You can basically, I would recommend start with a tablespoon of water and then just go to your desired thickness. But I like mine a little more on the watery side, like that, because it makes for pouring it on really easy. But anyway, that is ready to go as soon as my cake is completely cooled. I've let this cool completely, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add my glaze to it. Just gonna drizzle it over the top. All right, I've got all that glaze on. Now I'm gonna go ahead and cut out a serving size, show you what that is, and also what this looks like inside. All right, I've cut a serving size out of this, which is a 1/16. And I don't know if you can see in there very well, but that is what it looks like inside. All those nice apples right in the center. And then here is a close-up of a piece of it, which again is a 1/16. Not the biggest piece, but you know, still decent size. And the points on this for me are 8 points per serving, or 1/16 of the total. But we'll go ahead and give this a try and let you know what it tastes like. All right, I got my hubby here to give this a try.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, it's very apple-y.
Yeah, he doesn't really care for apple.
I mean, you can, it's a really nice dessert. I think if you gave that to somebody without telling them it was Weight Watcher friendly, I don't think they'd be able to tell.
Let me try, because I want to, yeah, that's
So
kind of...
it's not, I mean, it's moist. The breading's really pleasant, and the apple filling tastes how it should. And then you get the really super sweet drizzle. But because there's not very much of it, it really complements the whole flavor profile.
Yeah, I mean, comparing that to the other one that I do that has full sugar, butter, all the point high stuff, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It'd be interesting, man, that'd be a whole lot of effort, but to have
The both of them? Yeah, because I haven't done my other one in a while, but from memory, that tastes pretty close. So I'm happy with it. And definitely a whole lot less points with this one than the other version. All right.
That's what, 8 points?
That's 8 points, yeah.
I would think that would be worth it for folks that liked that kind of thing.
Apple-y fritter type, yeah.
Very satisfying. I can tell just by the 2 bites I took. You'd want coffee with it because, you know, I want coffee with everything.
That's true. Coffee would pair very nicely with this. All right, guys, that was my apple fritter bundt cake. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.